Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Cold Case Christmas. In this episode, we are investigating the mysterious disappearance of a Royal Navy sailor who disappeared in the early morning of the 27th of May, 2012. He was on assignment in the Port Rashid area of Dubai. Despite his disappearance being investigated by both the police in Dubai and the Royal Navy, Timothy remains missing. This is the case of Timothy MacColl. 28-year-old Timothy MacColl was the dad to 3 children, and he was originally from Killing in Stirlingshire in Scotland. He was on assignment in the Port Rashid area of Dubai. He was serving aboard the Type 23 frigate HMS Westminster as part of that ship's 7-month security mission in the Middle East. The ship had docked in Port Rashid on the 26th of May 2012. It was stationed there for 5 days, due to leave on the 31st of May. This was to give the sailors on board some well-earned downtime. And Timothy took advantage of this. He spent the earliest part of the day swimming, and then later on he went drinking with some of his shipmates out in the town. The last time that Timothy could be accounted for by anyone was when they were at the Rock Bottom Cafe in the Deira area of Dubai. Timothy was a little bit worse for wear. Like I said, he was taking advantage of that well-earned downtime. He was put into a taxi to take him back to the ship at 2 a.m. by some of his shipmates. The drive time between the Rock Bottom Cafe and where HMS Westminster was docked was only about 15 minutes. But he never made it on board that ship. Now, there was a possible sighting of Timothy getting into another taxi at 3 a.m. to head back into Dubai, where he'd just been. Was that Timothy, or was that someone who looked like him? A young man, a little bit worse for wear. There was a lot of sailors in the area because HMS Westminster was docked there, and they were taking full advantage of that downtime. So was it Timothy or was it someone else? The Royal Navy reported him missing later that day when they just couldn't account for him on the ship. There was a search done and he just wasn't there. An investigation was launched by the Dubai Police Force, and 2 counter-terrorism command officers from the United Kingdom were flown over to Dubai to assist in this search for Timothy. This was the Middle East. There's friction in the Middle East, as we probably all know. Was this some kind of terrorist activity to take sailors one by one? You know, they had to consider the widest amount of possibilities here. But Timothy's colleagues from the HMS Westminster took it upon themselves to walk the route that the taxi should have taken between the Rock Bottom Cafe and where the ship was docked. Local people in the area were spoken to, and apart from that sighting that may or may not have been Timothy at 3 a.m. going back into Dubai, there was no sign of him. The Dubai Police Force interviewed the taxi driver who dropped Timothy off, and he said that he hadn't taken Timothy all the way back to the ship, that he wanted to be dropped off at a tea shack in the port area, but not at the ship. So it is possible that Timothy did head back into Dubai. Maybe he felt like he wasn't finished, he wasn't done partying. But the port area was searched by divers, dogs, helicopters with heat-seeking equipment. There was no sign of him in the water at the docks, you know, because another theory was that for whatever reason he's jumped in or fallen in to the water. So the search continued. Checks were made at police stations, hospitals, mortuaries even, and also prisons. Had he been picked up by the police in another area and he was sitting there in jail? But there was no record of him anywhere. The mother of his children, his wife Rachel, said that Timothy's disappearance was completely out of character. She'd actually arranged to speak with him on Skype later that day. And, you know, they were happily married. He's not going to walk off on his own. And I think there's always that possibility when someone goes missing that they have staged a disappearance and they're really just fed up of their life and they want to walk away. But this wasn't Timothy. And I think that's pretty low down on the list of theories. The leading theory by the Royal Navy is that Timothy somehow fell into the sea near to where HMS Westminster was berthed and he drowned. And this is what they recorded when his death certificate was issued 2 years later in 2014. Timothy's family have been openly critical of the Royal Navy's stance on this. They say that they've been met with a wall of silence, and once a cursory search of the sea at the docks was done by the Royal Navy, that was that. His shipmates wanted to continue the search, but the ship left the area on the 31st of May, as previously arranged. Rachel MacColl, Timothy's wife, and Neil Cunningham, who is Timothy's uncle, who is also a detective constable in Hampshire in the UK, they flew out to Dubai in January of 2013, about 7 months after Timothy had disappeared. Timothy's uncle, Detective Neil Cunningham, was quoted as saying 197 members of the ship's company in and around Dubai. I'm sure there's more information that can assist us and encourage the Dubai police to carry on the investigation. Speaking on the 10th year of Timothy's disappearance, his mother, Sheena, has demanded a fresh probe into her son's disappearance, claiming someone knows what happened to him. We still haven't got closure. I believe there are people who know what happened to Timmy. I do not believe he fell into the water, as there was a safety net around the ship. So surely you can't be that drunk if there's a safety net around the ship. Where did he fall in? How on earth could he have fallen in? Sheena went on to say, Timmy's children are grown up now. They need answers. There are many loose ends. Someone knows something but has not come forward for whatever reason. I know Timmy. He was my son. He would not have put us through this if he was still alive. I'd appeal to anyone who has information to come forward. The Royal Navy thinks he died by drowning. If this were true, then where is his body? His body was never found. You know, bodies do sink when they enter the water and there's no longer air in the lungs, but they tend to come back up. They tend to float. And as the ship was berthed in a dock, if Timothy fell overboard or fell off the dock in a drunken stupor, then you would think that that would be the area where his body would resurface, unless, I guess, the tide took him out to sea, which I think is possible. But in a dock, I don't know. So what happened to Timothy MacColl? Did he meet with foul play as he headed back into Birdie Bay? Or was that sighting at 3 a.m. not Timmy at all? We may never know. Another family, like many thousands of others with missing loved ones, are left in limbo, awaiting some news, any news of their loved one. Did Timmy drown that night, or is there something more to this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you very soon in the next episode of Cold Case Christmas. Bye guys.